Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today, I'm going to be doing a review on the new movie Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I was able to see it in theaters recently and thought I would share my thoughts with you guys for anybody who hasn't yet seen it and was hoping to, or for anybody who has seen it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this movie and what you thought about it. If you do end up liking this review, it'd be really great if you could give me a like. And if you are not subscribed, it'd be great if you subscribed. We would love to have you as part of the Fantasy Fiction Fanatics community. All right, let's go ahead and get right into the review. So to start off with, this movie is about a man whose daughter has been taken from him by a friend after he was locked up in jail for a while and refuses to give her back to him. And he ends up getting a band together, a crew, I guess I'm trying to say, a crew together in order to try and help get his daughter back. And all the adventures that come along with doing that. So, just by the plot alone, that little synopsis, it's super fun movie and story, and it's just a basic plot line, a lot of adventuring to it, and it's just a super fun comedic movie. To start off with, on the quality of the movie, I felt like the quality of the movie was really, really good. So all the actors are great. I love Chris Pine in general as an actor, so that was one of the things that really drew me to wanting to see it, along with it being Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy and all that. So excellent acting on everybody's account. Chris Pine is just the main person that I knew from previous things, but across the board, really great acting, really great making of the world and the fantasy elements. It really does come to life. It's not cheesy and it's not like super fakey or anything like that. So I felt like it has a really good quality as far as the actual making of the movie is. So super great. Thumbs up for me on the actual quality of the movie. Now, what did I like about this movie? I really, really liked a lot of different elements. I liked to start off with the characters. I think the characters are really great. All of them are very unique. All of them have their own motivations. They all have their own personalities. And you can really get a sense of who everybody is throughout the movie. So overall, I just really enjoyed that aspect of the characters, the development they receive, the background they receive. Not saying that we fully flesh out each character, but we do know enough that you can really get a sense of who each character is, what they're doing, and why they're doing things. And I think all of them were really great. The second main thing that I really, really like about this movie is the comedy. It's very much a comedic movie. It's not a serious Dungeons and Dragons movie, if that's what you're hoping for, like a really serious, dark, battling, or adventuring movie. It's definitely a comedy. It's definitely meant to be lighthearted and to have stakes, but not the sense of like a really intense, anxiety-inducing story or those kind of stakes. So just really fun comedy on several different characters' parts. It's not the stupid kind of comedy. I'm not really a fan when it's so comedic or when it's so dumb that it's just not funny. It definitely has a good balance of it just being sarcastic, just being puns, and certain moments that is just placed really well. So overall, the comedy is great. And if you like comedy, I think you'll really enjoy this movie for that comedic elements. I really, really like, just in general, the fantasy elements that are in it. Obviously, it's Dungeons and Dragons, so it has really good fantasy elements just from its background. But I like how, even though I'm not somebody who fully plays the game, I still can connect with a lot of the fantasy elements. As somebody who likes to read fantasy, has read, Dragonlance, and has read The Legend of Dritz, can pick out different things from the different experiences that I have, even if I don't really play the game, and to enjoy the elements that are put in there. So definitely lots to like about it. The plotline in general is great. As far as the actual concept of it, I really like the storyline. I like the different detours that we have, little subplots that come up along the way. Overall, just really, really solid on a lot of the points and a lot of the aspects of the movie. I did have a couple little tiny complaints, nothing that really made it where it wasn't enjoyable. But I will say that I do think playing the game would be helpful. In certain instances, I didn't totally get it. I like, obviously, like I said, you can still watch it without knowing anything about Dungeons and Dragons. I would say you have to probably know things about fantasy, but you don't have to know anything about Dungeons and Dragons specifically. But I do think if you play the game, some of the things will make a little bit more sense and you'll understand a little bit more of the specific nuances of what they are presenting in the movie. So I do think it would have been nice to have a little bit more explanation on things. There are some things that they just skip over because they assume that you've played the game and know that. So certain items, certain not characters, creatures, things like that, they're like, oh yeah, this is this. And then you're just like, or at least I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what that is because I don't play the game. Would have been nice a little bit more explanation for people who don't play the game and don't know all these specific details. But beyond that, you can still enjoy it just fine without the explanations. It just would have been nice for somebody who doesn't play the game to have a little bit more explanation to some of those different aspects. The second thing is, again, a kind of a link to what I already previously talked about, is relating back to the humor. The humor is great. I really enjoyed the humor a lot. But I do think it would have been nice to have a few more serious moments. There is quite a lot of humor, and I do like all the humor, but there are certain times that it would have been nice to have a little bit more seriousness to it. I don't want to say that like all the humor comes in the wrong places, because it doesn't. There are moments where there are more serious, there are moments where there's not that comedy to it, but it would have been nice to have a little bit more of that to it in the general plot line. I think the humor is great. I think it has a lot of strength to it for the whole story, but it would have been nice to have just calming it down just a dial or two, just to have a little bit more of that seriousness bleed through and have it be a little bit more maturity to it, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does, but hopefully you get what I mean. Yeah, other than that, the only last thing that's a minor complaint, and I think it's the thing that I think would have made the most difference for me, is I think the plot, though the actual plot line is simple, it's to save his daughter. They do have all this adventuring they're doing, and they're trying to make this team that can go ahead and get his daughter back. And I think it would have been nice to have a few less elements to it. Not quite going quite so many places, not having quite so many things they have to do in order to reach the end destination. Just because I felt like nothing was really able to be focused on. We're just kind of like running through and be like, okay, here's this, and then here's this, and then here's this, and trying to get all these different elements into the same movie. So for time-wise with the movie, it felt like everything was going very fast-paced, and I felt like it would have been nice if we had a few less scenes or a few less things that had to happen in order to get to the end result, just so we could have focused a little bit more on the things that they had. Again, if that makes sense. Please let me know down below if this makes no sense, and I will try to do a better explanation on it. But yes, just would have been nice to have a little bit simpler plot in terms of how much they do in the movie. Again, none of these things actually fully deterred or made it a bad movie. It just is my personal opinion of things that I think would have made it a next level of a movie to make it even better. Overall, what do I think? I think it's a really fun movie. It actually does really well with a lot of the elements as far as fantasy, as far as acting, characters, all those things. I definitely think you should check it out if you are a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, or even if you're just a fan of fantasy and you really like comedy. I think this will be a really fun, super fun movie for you. There are a couple elements that are just really great that I wish I could share with you, but I don't want to do any spoilers. All I gotta say is, obviously, since it's Dungeons and Dragons, this won't be a spoiler. So keep a lookout for the dragon in this particular movie. It's really great. It's probably my favorite scene. And if you know what I'm talking about, please give me a like. I really hope that you enjoyed that scene as well if you've seen it. All right, I guess that is it from me on this topic. Hopefully you enjoyed this review, and hopefully if you go ahead and see it, you will share your thoughts with me on if you like it or not. All right, I will talk to you guys in the next one, and I'll see you later. Bye.